Assembly Bill number 1948, which is similar in many ways to the Adult Survivors Act, in many ways. So in 2007, I passed New York's anti-human trafficking law. We worked for a few years on that, and we finally got it done. And this was the first time human trafficking was actually ever put into the law as a specific crime. It had never been defined before in New York State. And it became a model for laws around the country to combat human trafficking. And since then, of course, a lot of improvements have been made. It's been 16 years already. So we've passed a number of other pieces of legislation by various colleagues of mine to really make things much better. So in 2021, the National Human Trafficking Hotline reported that there were 404 identified cases of human trafficking in the state, and more than 1,600 contacts were made to the hotline for New York. And since 2021, significant legislation has been enacted to strengthen protections for victims of human trafficking. They include permitting victims, survivors, to bring civil action against perpetrators and extending statute of limitations to 15 years, allowing victims of human trafficking to bring a motion to vacate any criminal conviction where such offense was a result of having been a victim of human trafficking, providing additional confidentiality to victims during such process, and requiring law enforcement and DA's offices to advise human trafficking victims of available social and legal services. So given these recent updates, our two committees, the Codes Committee and Assemblymember Davila will be here in a couple of minutes, the Committee on Social Services, as well as our subcommittee on human trafficking, we're interested in hearing testimony to determine whether existing laws and services provide adequate safety, security, and justice to the victims and survivors of the crimes. And we would like to also explore whether New York State should extend the criminal and civil statutes of limitation to increase the time periods in which a prosecution for sex trafficking and sex trafficking of a child may be commenced, and increase the time in which a civil suit may be brought. Additionally, we'd like to discuss how to best use the information available to us and identify what other information is needed to ensure that we are making informed policy decisions. So we're going to hear from a number of witnesses today. Excuse me. But I want to emphasize at the beginning, we put in a notice, it was very clear, testimony is 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Okay, everybody knows what that means, right? 5 minutes. That means when you reach your 5 minutes, the mics might be cut off. No, we won't cut off the mics, but we want you to conclude after 5 minutes. And it's normally better if you say your testimony as opposed to simply reading it. Like I was just reading a lot of what I just said, but when you say it, it actually is better. I mean, after all, you're submitting written testimony, so I don't need you to read what you're submitting. So, but you figure out how you want to deal with it with 5 minutes, please. So the other members of the committee that are here will be Assembly, as I said, Assembly Member Maritza Davila will be here in a couple of minutes, and she chairs the Social Services Committee. Assemblywoman Linda Rosenthal will be here in a couple of minutes, and maybe some others. But immediately I'd like to introduce Assembly Member Jessica Gonzalez Rojas, who chairs our subcommittee on human trafficking.